Hello everybody, my name is Tiffany, I'm the Tipsy Artist, and we are going live today to do a beautiful painting tutorial with our sugar skull. So I've got my trace all done. That took just a little bit of time, so let me talk about the templates we have for this. So this is a beautiful template, has all kinds of shapes. We even have a little feather that comes with it, and this comes with a painting kit too. So we've got all the paints for you and the canvas and the templates. So it's all good to go, all ready to go with your kit, and we have brushes too. So hello Rolinda, and hello everybody else I can't see. Welcome, welcome. All right, let me show you the model that we're going off of today. So this is our Be Legendary Sugar Skull. All right, so we have done this in many painting classes. It is a favorite, so I thought I would pull it into the mix for today. And so you can do your background any color, or you can leave it just really clean and white, which is probably what we'll do today too. Howdy! So that, because we have a lot of detail to work into the center here, so we're going to concentrate on that today. All right, so to get started, we're going to start to mix up our paint a little bit here. And let's see, I've got a few little paint plates here nearby. And I think I will mix up some turquoise to begin with. Here we go. And let's see. All right, I am going to take my little buddy brush. We're going to be using our little kiddo brushes. See, I call these my little kiddos here, little buddy and little bit. We're going to be using these a lot today because it's just a lot of really small work in here. So let's do some turquoise. So I've got a dollop of the green, dollop of the blue, and then a dollop of the white. We're going to mix all that together. And if you have our paint kit at home, we also have a really pretty color called Viridian, and it's really lovely. And that mixed with a little bit of this primary cyan blue is really nice. And then that with white also makes a really nice turquoise color. All right, so here we go. We've got some turquoise. Let's do a little bit more. Green, blue, and white. Mix all that together. I also make sure that I've got a lot of this white off to the side nearby to go ahead and touch into quite a bit. All right, and I'm already starting to notice that this brush might even be too big for the detail work I want to do. So this is great for mixing, but I'm going to go ahead and put this off to the side in my little water bucket because we're working with acrylic paint today, and it will set up and dry pretty quickly, sometimes in less than 5 minutes. And it can ruin your brushes. So you're going to be careful with that. Put those off to the side in some water. I'm going to take my little bit brush here. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick little twist into the paints. All right, and you know what? Man, I got to get some water. Hold on. All of a sudden, I'm remembering. I don't know what I was thinking, but I worked out, jumped in the shower, got ready, and it has just now occurred to me that I have not had anything to drink since I did all that, and now my body is telling me, it's like, hey, we really need some water. So, you know, it's like, yeah, we're gonna need more of that here in a minute, but that'll get me over for a little bit. Okay. All right, so that's what you get for waking up late and being in a hurry. Okay, so we've got our little bit brush here, twirling it into the turquoise paint. And today I'm going to go ahead and do a lot of this green work, what is typically traditionally like a green leaf. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of drama to that by making it turquoise. And I'll be holding the brush just like I would hold a pencil, and just come towards the canvas and just work into these small areas in here. All right, and then, so there's just little details of this everywhere. And then while I'm doing some of this, let me talk about this template work that we have. I know, hydration, it's so important. I don't know what I was thinking, or not thinking. Yeah, I'm gonna keep the cap off and keep going. But yeah, so by the way, with the template, what I would recommend as a beginner is to go ahead and do it all with your pencil first, And then that way, that'll give you confidence and that you're happy with where everything is. There's also a little bit of some freehanding with this too. So again, just relax with the process, use your pencil, get an eraser, and you can work with it for a while, and then whenever you're happy, then you can go ahead and set up all your hard black lines like this with the Sharpie. And then that will really make the progress and the whole process much easier. All right, so still working in all this little turquoise here. And definitely keep spinning into the paint to keep that nice fine point, because as we do detail work, the brush can get filled with paint and it makes the bristles kind of spread out, and so that can make it challenging to get into really tiny little areas. All right, so we got some there, and then you know what? we got some here. I'm going to do that as well with a little bit of this color. So I'm getting the foundation down. Again, this is just basic turquoise mixed up with just a basic cobalt blue, emerald green, or white. Or with our paint kit, it would be the Viridian and the cyan blue and the white. Our paint kit's kind of fancy. It has fancy colors and stuff. Yeah, most people just have a basic blue, green, and white. So I always try to go over the basics first on that. These are my little loopy, I'll get it right. It's ironically they are loopy leaves, and I said loopy leaves, which is a little bit loopy of me to say that. All right, so here we go. A little bit more turquoise. You can also play with the detail on that too. You can just keep it solid, or you can, speaking of getting fancy, you can get a little bit fancy with it, touch into a little bit of white while the paint's still wet, and you can do like little bits of a softly blended white here on the ends, which is kind of a fun technique. So you can do a little bit of that too if you like the look of that. Feeling brave and experimental. So again, just a little touch of white in there just adds a nice little accent. That's also an option. Let me pull that a little bit closer so you can see the difference. All right, so that's pretty fun. Make sure I position this back to where you can see it. Okay. All right, so now we're going to mix up a little bit of some hot pink. Got another paint plate here nearby, and I want some red and some white. So a lot of white, little bit of red, and that will give me a light pink. And then if I go with a bigger concentration of red and the white, then that will give me more of a hot pink. So hot pink, more of that light heather pink, like a baby pink. So those are some fun options here. And I'm going to go ahead and paint into the whole, whoops, well, just way to go. Just stuck my finger in my leaf. You're like, girl, you need to drink some water so you can think straight. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and paint into this flower. And yes, I do stabilize my hand by sometimes placing my pinky on the canvas, kind of acts like a little training wheel while I do a little detail work. But normally I would try to be a bit more careful and not stick my finger into wet paint, but you do have to kind of watch out for that. So learn from my mistakes. All right, so just continuing on here with this really pretty hot pink color. And again, this is just white and red. Now in our paint kit we have another color called Primary Magenta, and it kind of looks like this, and so it has a very brilliant, very rich hot pink that it will make, and you can also add a lot of white to that as well, and then that's really pretty. So we have some really pretty jewel tones with our kit. Way prettier than just the basic colors. All right, so white and red here, just coming into each one of these little flowers. This is my little bit brush. Hold it like a pencil towards the canvas. This is the best brush for curvy cut-in work around small areas. And by the way, happy one day after Father's Day, if we have any fathers out there. We had a really good day here yesterday. I did not actually go, but all the boys went and did Frisbee golf. So that was very fun. They sent me videos. And then we had a beautiful cookout with steak, and potatoes and hot dogs, and we had some red wine and a bunch of different fancy cheeses. Yeah, it was really nice. We just had a very relaxing day. All right, let's see here. I've got a few more flowers up here at the top. Let's go ahead and push those flowers to more of a coral color. So I'm going to go ahead and pull in a little bit of this beautiful orange into the white and the red. A bit more orange there, warm that up. A little bit of white too will bring out more of that peachy quality. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do these flowers with more of that coral color. Still using the little bit brush. And then as you're using a little bit, because it is so small and you're trying to come down like this, sometimes you'll see a lot of brush strokes. So you can still turn this brush over to the side in a small area, just be very careful with it. And that'll help feather out some of those brush strokes and kind of smooth that surface area out and give you a better application of paint over the surface. All right, now I'm going to come in with this side. So I'll hold it more like a pencil to begin with. And then just kind of feather it out on the side of the brush. So sometimes it's a little awkward to hold it over to the side, but it does help your hand become more gentle when you position it like that. All right, so now we have that beautiful look there. And then I'm going to do some roses in here too. So I'm going to come back in with more of the pink and do some little roses in here. I'll just get that flat color down in the surface area. All right, and then I want to go ahead and pull in some lighter green just to show you a different look that you can do for the leaves here. So I'm going to take a little bit of this white with the green. Mix those two together. This will give me a really pretty bright spring green. You can also add a little touch of yellow to it too. Put that into the mix and that will make it very bright and vibrant, almost like a lime green, very pretty. It's a great mix in here. So I'm going to watch my pinky this time and not place it into the paint. So I'm going to position it here where there's nothing and just do a little touch of that bright lime green. This is also really a pretty complementary color with the pink. So I'm going to go ahead and do the center here with this kind of really pretty, it's kind of like a lime green. so we got the centers there. It's also really pretty. I'm going to have to go ahead and do a little bit of symmetry here. Keep this going up here. Gotta be careful. Sometimes this paint is still wet nearby, and if it pulls into the mix, it'll kind of muddy up that bright green and dull it. So we want to make sure and do a nice layer of green just right over the top to make sure that's still very vibrant. Or you can just be a little bit more patient than I'm being and just wait for it to all set up and dry, which I do encourage you to do that when you're home painting, so you don't have to be in a rush at all. Alright, and I just forgot these little guys. Crazy. Little tiny little leaves right there. Alright, and let's see. We've got some purple nearby. That's exciting. Yay! Let's use some of that. All right, so we've got a little bit of white, a little bit of purple. Let's mix those two together so I can kind of play with both of those. I've got the vibrant purple, also a little bit of the lavender. All right, so here we go. I've got a really pretty little flower. I'll work into that. That's lovely. Now what I'm going to do is add a little bit of detail to the flower. I'll go ahead and let's spin this brush out a little bit into a nice fine point, dip into the purple, and then on each side of this little flower, I'm going to just basically make tiny little lines out into the shape of the flower. While the paint is still wet, and it gets a little bit of a nice blend. So that creates a nice fun little pattern on there. So that's a fun little trick. Alright, I will also do a fun little lavender cross up here. Lots of little cut-in work. So use a very delicate hand, still using little bit brush. Remember to keep twisting it into the paint. And smooth that out here. Alright, and now let's do these little circles with that little bit of lavender as well. And that one. All right, and then we're going to use some beautiful bright red. All right, so I've got my little bit brush again. And make sure the brush does not have too much excess water in it, so I'm going to quickly dry it off one more time. Excess water in the brush will create little water runs, and that can really cause a problem here, especially when you have all this white space that you really want to preserve. So always be careful after you wash your brushes that you dry off all of the brush completely. Alright, so I'm going back into some bright red now, and I'm going to go ahead and do my little heart up here. Using that little pinky trick, just watch where you place it, but that'll help stabilize my hand while I do some of this small detail work into that shape. Start to see brush strokes, then try to lay that brush more over to the side, parallel to the canvas. Then it'll help smooth that out. And then we've got another part here. I'm going to go ahead and do mine red here as well. Still using a little bit brush because it can cut in and around those tight little corners there. Got some tiny little curves. And so a little bit is definitely the right choice. Now it does become challenging when you're trying to come in and smooth out this final coat here, because you'll see a lot of brush strokes. So what you can do, you can also switch over to a bigger brush. So here's little buddy. We've got our first coat down, but then you can come back in and kind of smooth this out. And really gentle hand on this so that the paint just really lays flat on top of the surface area and that you don't scrape it off. Alright, so that is our beautiful little nose there, a little upside down heart nose. Okay, more details. Let's do some gold. Want to make sure we've got another really small dry brush, so a little bit again. And let's do a little bit of some gold, or like a bright cadmium yellow. That would be a really pretty choice too. Little bit brush again, and let's do some of these little details in here. And then let me show you what the cadmium yellow looks like too. This is in our kit here. See, it's just really bright and vibrant, and this will look really great with our sugar skull. Alright, so this is called cadmium yellow. And then I'm going to position this into this shape here. Again, still using my little bit brush. Alright, let's see. Let's look at this. Let's do a little dot. I've got cadmium yellow here. It looks like it's a little jewel up there. Another little trick you can do with that little dot is, let me show you this too. Using the handle of a brush, pretty big brush, so you have a nice big handle. And on the end of the brush, we can dip into that paint. See? And then you can just push straight forward too. And that's also a really fun way to do like a polka dot pattern. So let's show you some of that. All right, so I've got, let's do some red. And if it doesn't quite get the shape on the first go, you can always just re-dip and then repress. But this is a really great technique for getting perfect tiny little circles every single time. Right, great way to make pattern in a really fun, easy way. And then if everything is also just really set up and dry, you can also come back in with like a lighter color over the top. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and push into this bright yellow, and then I'll go ahead and push in like little polka dots here. See, and that's just really super cute right over the top. Really easy way to bring in a lot of that fun pattern in a really easy way. Because if you were to try to paint these little tiny circles, it would really be a struggle, and they have a tendency to get very large. So this is a nice, easy way to do that. So I'll go ahead and do some of these up here too. You can also vary the color a little bit. All right, very fun. Okay, and you know what? I'm going to do, actually, let's do some red down here. Red circle in the middle of our flower. Pretty. All right, now we need to do our little feathers down here. So I actually just really like the look of like a black and white chevron. So I'm going to take my little bit brush again, and go ahead and paint into this mix with some black. And I made this stroke here by just doing almost like the top of a triangle. That's really all it is. Just like that. And then I'll skip every other space, and that really creates a nice pattern. And then you can re-emphasize that center line right through the middle of the feather. You can actually let the white of your canvas be your white. Hello, Sean. Welcome. And hello, how many new people are out there still watching? Welcome, welcome. I'll go ahead and do a few little feathering strokes off to the side. Since I reinforced that line, I'll go ahead and reinforce this line too. Make sure it has the same thickness. Got some little hairs that are coming out on this thing. Kind of forces you to do a bigger stroke on that. I'm going to switch brushes since this one's being a little bit persnickety on me. Come in, let's twirl this one in. This one has a really nice fine point. So I'll go ahead and finish this one in. You can also re-emphasize these little swirls with a Sharpie too. So that's a really easy, or a paint pen. All right, and then we've got some little stripes coming back here on this other feather. And I think I'm going to keep it bright and light and do some turquoise back there. All right, so my turquoise again will be some of this blue and green and white, or if you have the kit, then that is some cyan blue, viridian, and white. And I've got my little buddy brush, and I'm going to go ahead and push into each one of these little stripes in here. And I'll reline the little feather strokes in there just to make sure that that's preserved. I did just kind of barely cover that up a little bit. And you can let the white of your canvas be your white, or you can paint a different color. Let's see. I'm going to do some lavender, I think, in this one. So a little bit of purple and white. Purple's a really nice complementary color to this one here. And again, this is just violet and white mixed together. Okay, and then I will come back in with my little bit brush, and we need to firm up that black line again. Or working from home, you can let it all set up and dry and just use a Sharpie to go ahead and line it out. But I'm going to go ahead and just firm this up with some paint. My little bit brush here. Do that center line back through the middle. And I'm going to redo these little feather strokes. And make sure this little line is really defined around the shape of the feather. I may just do like 1 or 2 little diagonal strokes on that feather there. I don't do it on this pattern because it tends to interrupt the chevron pattern too much, and it's not quite right, but I can get away with it on those solid colors in there. All right, let's see. We're almost done with a lot of this detail work. I am going to come in over the top of those little roses and do a little bit of pattern work there. So I've got my little bit brush again, and my first layer is just a little bit of some white. So I do like a little spiral there of white over the top with this particular pattern. And then 1 or 2 little half circles right around the top. This is a really tiny rose, so the pattern has to be very small. And so a little bitty spiral, kind of curve that all the way around. Then I will come back in with the darkest shade next, so that will be red. Make sure my brush is all dry so I don't get any water runs. Do a little amount of the red here. And then I'm going to do a little spot right in the center. And just kind of barely drag it a little bit and lift off with the right hand. Same thing here, a little spot right in the middle. And then a few little half circles all the way around this shape. It's really delicate hand. All right. And let's see. You can continue to play with this and add a lot more detail if you want to, or you can just kind of keep it more minimal. And again, you can add color if you want to. And what I do suggest is that when you do let it set up and dry, if you want to make hard black lines around everything, then what I would recommend there would be to go ahead and use your Sharpie, because it does become super, super tiny. Now, I can't use the Sharpie just yet because of all the wet paint, and it just, little caution there, when a Sharpie hits wet paint, it will just immediately ruin the Sharpie. So you have to be really careful of this. Thank you so much. Yeah, and so for today, I am going to go ahead and just leave this white and let it be just very kind of clean and minimal. I'll go ahead and sign down here at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and sign with my Sharpie here. Just makes it super easy. Tipsy Artist, yay! All right, and then I'm going to let mine dry, and then here in a little bit I'm going to redefine it with a lot of Sharpie, and then I'll post the very finished product with more of the black lines. But for the most part, we've done all the painting that we can do, and I'm just going to let that, all that little detail just be all the brightness, and I'm loving the clean, minimal look of the white in the background. Thank you! And I love that you're here. Yeah, and just as a recap, let me show you the difference it looks like if you do a black background, for example. So if you have the contrast, if you want to do that, I've also seen some people do really bright colors like a turquoise or something else like that in the background too. So there's all kinds of fun options on this. But yeah, so we are done with our beautiful sugar skull for now. And again, I'll post more pictures later of it redefined with a little bit of a heavier black line that I'll work in here in a little bit. But other than that, we can be completely done. And just a recap on tools, let me show you the fun templates we've got. So this is the little template kit that comes with our kit with brushes, canvas, and paint. So it makes it super fun and easy. And then, yeah, so that's it. So we did a great job. Yay! Thank you so much for joining me today. And I will be back tomorrow painting. And I'm sitting here in my brain going, what am I painting tomorrow? I do not. I'm going to have to go look it up. I don't know. But I'll be posting a picture of the trace here in a little bit. But I'm painting almost every day this week. So lots of painting happening this week. It's going to be very fun. Pretty much every day at noon. So if you're free, would love to see you again tomorrow at noon. I'll be here painting. something. I can't remember, but anyway, it's on the website, on the event page, and then also on our Facebook page. It's under events, so you can always find it there. And then if you're ever, you know, you can always just come to our Facebook page, and I'm usually just streaming live, so every day at noon. Yes, but thank you so much for joining me today. Had so much fun, and I will see you tomorrow. Mwah.